Hello and welcome to the Talk Football podcast. This is season 4, episode 11, and we are doing Paul's Spurs all-time 11. I'm sure he's had to sit down and go through this many times with many different configurations of players. So this is going to be interesting. I have no idea what he's put down. And also I'd like to say a very happy new year to all listeners. I hope you all had a great Christmas and hope you all smash 2024. So good morning, Paul, which is good evening actually for Paul, because it's just gone 8 p.m.
Good evening.
And happy new year to Paul as well. There we go.
New Year to you as well, mate.
Hey.
Yeah, it's a Sunday night before having to go back to work after 2 weeks off for Christmas and New Year. So
There we go.
nice to be talking to you before.
And both of our clubs happily through to the next round of the FA Cup and all, you know. Right, so yes, like we're saying, we're doing off the back of me doing my Chelsea one. We're doing Paul's Spurs all-time 11. So I'll hand it over to you, mate. And so I presume we're going to start with the goalkeepers.
We shall start with the goalkeeper. So obviously by all-time, we mean basically in my lifetime and my supporting lifetime. So I started going regularly to Spurs in 1992. First game was 87, but I started going regularly in 92. So this is in effect, if you like, almost a Premier League.
Premier League. Well, yeah. It was the birth of the Premier League. Yeah.
So in goal there can only be one man, and he's just left the club. So that is Hugo Lloris. 11 years. Last couple of years were a bit dodgy, but you can't allow that to override what has been 10 years of being an amazing goalkeeper. You know, he came over and he was the kind of like the original sweeper keeper, where he was kind of always off his line and, you know, kind of really allowed that high line to be played and allowed us to be on the front foot. The game has overtaken him a bit, where it's not so much now about just being a good shot stopper and rushing off your line. It's now about actually the keeper's got to have the ability on the ball to pick a pass out, which he never had, in all honesty. So the game has overtaken him in the last few years, but that doesn't override what a great shot stopper he was and what a great sweeper keeper, and also loyal servant. Loyal servant is another kind of important factor within my team, I think. We don't have many trophies to go back on. We've only got one trophy to go on in this time. So loyalty is another important aspect. So the only other keeper really that was his rival was Paul Robinson. Obviously the whatever it was, the League Cup, whoever sponsors it at the time, winner when Woodgate scored the goal against Chelsea back in 2008. But yeah, there's no one else really that can challenge him as far as that's concerned. So again, I'm going to pick a system which the current manager plays. So I'm playing the 4-3-3.
Okay.
Back four: Walker, King, Jan Vertonghen, Danny Rose. It almost picks itself, in all honesty. I mean, Walker was great at Spurs and he's taken his game up a level only since being up at City. But yeah, it was a few gaffes in the back, but his pace just allowed him to get out of problems that he made for himself. And he obviously was a brilliant attacker as well.
Yeah.
I think King speaks for himself.
I mean, what a career he could have, if not for the injuries, amazing.
Yeah, top player. If it wasn't for that knee, played centre half, played in midfield, just played every. If it wasn't for his knee, he probably wouldn't have stayed at Spurs his whole career. In all honesty,
yeah, absolute Rolls Royce.
Yeah, superb player. Jan Vertonghen again. Toby, wasn't quite sure which one, but I just think Jan's got that little bit more kind of class. Again, talking about like a Rolls Royce, Jan just moves so smoothly. He was unbelievable when he was on his game. And we haven't had many good left backs for the whole time I've been at Spurs, so there was literally very little competition really for Danny Rose. So yeah, he had to be the one. Great goal against Arsenal, and then
on debut,
on debut, and then the main left back for that team, that whole Poch period. So that's my back four. As I said, there wasn't really
It's
many rivals.
I always find it interesting when, like, I've spoken to a few people about this, like picking this, and there's an element of whether you. I mean, I think that obviously it looks like you've done it the same way I've done it. So you've picked it where you're actually thinking about how the team would function as a team as well. Whereas a lot of people, they'll just pick it regardless of position or whatever. They'll just pick 11 of their, like favorite-ish players. But I did this. I think we've probably done the same sort of thing. We'll think, like, how's this will this work as a team?
You say that just before I go into my midfield, which hasn't got that much balance to it,
Okay.
in all honesty. But yeah. And then the only other options really for Walker, Stephen Carr was a brilliant right back in
Yeah.
the 90s.
Was it Ziegler left back as well? Christian Ziegler?
Ziegler, yeah, Davies is the one I've gone as my number two. I think 10
Yeah.
years service. He's playing centre half now. He's played centre half, left back, left wing back. Massively, massively underrated player, Ben
Good player.
Davies.
Yeah. But yeah. You
So
can
he's
see
my
obviously where Danny Rose edges it. Yeah. Or
so he's my
midfield. I
number
mean,
two
so
there
many options
for
you could have
both.
gone with in midfield. I can't wait to hear this one.
And then this just big cover for the centre half. So Mabsy, Gary Mabbott, obviously again, absolute legend of the club, and then Toby as mentioned.
Yeah.
And then in midfield. So it's a three in midfield. So effectively two number eights and a 10, no six really. So I've gone for Dembele and Luka Modric. And then my favourite player growing up as a kid in the number 10. Didn't really play number 10, but I'm shifting him in the number 10 to fit this position, Darren Anderson.
Okay. Yeah. To be
Yeah.
honest, though, I mean, I've seen playing forward, central forward positions before anyway. But yeah,
He
I mean,
played
obviously,
centre mid for Spurs quite a few times. He played on
yeah,
the right. He played as a right wing back for England in Euro '96. So he's another one who's super versatile. I
yeah.
mean, Luka Modric is just
Speaks for itself, really. I mean,
immense,
Ballon d'Or winner.
unbelievable player.
You know,
You'd think how small he was, he wouldn't be able to play in the Premier League, but just
yeah,
pure
just
ability.
class.
And then, yeah. And then Mr. Dembele and Modric, no one's getting the ball off them two.
You couldn't get the ball off of Dembele on his own, let alone before he's giving it to Modric. And if he's giving it to Modric, he's only lending it to Modric.
That's it. I mean, them two are just absolute class.
Mm.
So they're my first three. Then maybe quite a surprise, but kind of actually putting a number 6 in as my backup. I've gone for Eric Dyer as my because he was a very defensive midfielder
Is there a touch of sentiment on that, as he seems to be on the verge of leaving the club?
Yeah, he's always been a favourite of mine. I think he got a lot of stick. He came in, Poch's first game, played right back, beat West Ham, scored a goal, played centre mid, played centre half. He obviously can't play under Ange's the way Ange wants to play with the high line and the pace. He just hasn't got it. But that don't mean he hasn't been a great servant for the club, and it doesn't mean he isn't a good player.
Yeah.
Knowing the way things work with Spurs and players leaving and then going on to win trophies, go and put 50 quid on Bayern Munich to win the Champions League. Probably what will happen.
I'll tell you what. I mean, obviously Harry's on an amazing start out there, and I've no doubt if that move does happen, that he would do brilliantly out there. And I don't think they would play him at centre back either, because they're crying out. Kimmich has taken a fair bit of stick at the moment for them, and he's not really a combative defensive midfielder, and I see that's probably where they would play him, just in front of the back four, someone who's good on the ball, but equally adept at breaking the play up. Yeah, so yeah, solid choice.
And my other two reserve midfielders, massively underrated, Thomason and Dele. So that's Dele is my number 10. Byron Huddleston behind in my other team. And then the front three, so many options, but again it comes back to kind of loyalty. So Klinsmann is nowhere to be found because he only played 18 months. For Spurs. He wasn't there really long enough. So I've gone for Bale on the right, Son on the left, and Harry up top.
Okay.
which is, I mean, they painted him under Mourinho, but
I can
obviously
I
not
can pretty much
peak mate.
I'm pretty much guess two of your standby forwards would be because
Go on then.
be Robbie Keane and
Go on
Teddy.
then. You got one right.
Really, one of them's not there. Okay.
Yeah. So Teddy up top, and then I've got Ginola,
Yeah.
who was immense for his time at Spurs. At the time, I had a season ticket in the Park Lane, like to the one side, so I had I could just you had Ginola running at you. You felt like from the seat I was in, you felt like you was you was the defender, and just seeing them taking them on and beating them, and then beating them
Yeah.
again and beating them again, coming back to beat them again, and they were just so perplexed. But for as great as Ginola was, he didn't have the end product of someone like, say, a Son or a Bale.
Yeah.
And then right, Teddy up top. But then the other guy I've gone for, again, I almost forgot about him, Christian Eriksen.
Yeah. But this is the problem. This is the problem I had is that you think, right, okay, we'll do that. You go there, blah, 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 blah. And then you think, and then you'll be having a conversation with someone and someone will go, oh, but you not think about putting him in? And you go, ah, shit. Yeah. There's so many options. It's so difficult to put it to 11. And you could probably do 2 or 3, 11s to be fair.
Yeah.
It is difficult. It's actually horrible because then you actually start feeling bad because you think like, oh, but no, I really should put him in. but and then you think, yeah, but if it works as a team, and obviously a front three of Sonny, Bale, and Harry, that front three for a few years was just ridiculous.
Yeah, but, I mean, no one's stopping that.
No
one's stopping front three. Not when Bale at his peak.
Oh,
With that would be amazing.
I don't know if you saw the pictures in the paper last week of Gareth on the beach with his family. He's ripped. I mean, he's what 32. How's he still not playing? I mean,
Gareth Bale on the beach didn't quite make the Wellington Don post.
I mean, the guy still looks incredibly fit. I mean, obviously, I know he plays a lot of golf, and obviously, his love affair with football was over due to that last few
it's
years.
like your mate David Hay, though, isn't it? David Hay always
David
great,
Hay,
but,
jacket of a knob.
But his body fell apart when he went in the ring.
if anyone's a little bit confused by that, so basically, this goes back to a night where a few of us were watching the boxing. I can't remember the fight. Was it Froch Kessler? I think it was Froch Kessler too.
Oh, no, Froch Groves.
Froch Groves, that's it. Froch Groves. And David Hay was wearing this awful jacket, and I just threw out like this sort of like a random tweet, and because I thought he was talking a bit of nonsense, and I didn't like his jacket, so I did hashtag jacket of a knob, and it went everywhere. It went everywhere. So yeah, hashtag jacket of a knob. That was my first kind of like viral tweet I ever had. It's a shame I didn't do it when we had this, this platform. Got us some more exposure. But there we go. Yeah. So that's your 11, and again, thinking of other names and stuff like that. Any other names that you could like that came close?
It was hard not to have Defoe or Keane in the second team. Obviously, going back to my loyalty position as well, they're two guys. Robbie left and then came back. So did Defoe, but under different circumstances. And over here, as part of the Premier League highlights, we get like 5 best goals from Steven Gerrard, Jermaine Defoe, and every time Spurs are on, they always show like the Jermaine Defoe ones. And his goals are amazing.
They are amazing.
No backlift. You could shoot from anywhere. And you kind of forget sometimes. You forget how good a striker Jermaine Defoe was.
I was listening to a snippet of a podcast that he was on. I can't remember which one it was, but it popped up on my social media. And they were talking to him. I think it was on TalkSport actually. And they were talking to him about like best strike partners that he played with. and obviously he played up front a fair few games like with Robbie Keane and a few others, but he actually said Crouchy, and he
Perhaps he
said
used to knock
he
him
said
down
but
for him.
he said Crouchy just knew exactly where I was going to be, and he said he was like so unselfish, and that obviously he was good in the air, but he said his touch and his incredible touch. He said I knew that I just had to just make a movement away from the defender, and Crouchy would find the touch and to get me in, just a little a little flick round the corner. And yet again, although he weren't there for a long time. I think Crouchy was still a very good striker for you guys.
Yeah, he was. He was definitely
Yeah.
very effective, but
Not
when
not
Kane
obviously
plays
not
for
the
him,
most sort of like fashionable, I suppose. Yeah.
no,
And obviously a
but
player you
when
mentioned like at the top when you were talking the forward line, obviously Klinsmann, and not being there obviously long enough to make your team, but I mean I just remember the impact that he had that first season in the Prem. And obviously, when he scored that first goal, he went off and did the old aeroplane dive uh,
yeah,
celebration.
no, I remember. I mean, I remember when Klinsmann came over and watching him in the grounds. I'd never seen a striker. He never stopped moving. Klinsmann
Yeah,
never stopped moving.
yeah,
He was like you could just watch him. And as a centre half, it must have been a nightmare because he would be pulling short. He'd be then pretending to run in behind, making loads of dummy runs,
yeah.
and not necessarily massive movements, but just never stopping moving. So he was always like waiting for the ball.
Proper
And
world
as
class
what was
striker.
I when Klinsmann was like 15-year-old boy in the ground, and he was, like, we kind of forget, don't we? When Klinsmann came to Spurs, he was a superstar. He was
Yes,
massive.
yeah. Off the
And
back of
just
an
being
amazing World Cup with
exactly.
Germany, and yeah, yeah, great player, great player. Yeah. So, me thinking, I can't. I'm struggling. There's other. I mean, obviously, it would have been uh, sort of like pre, maybe the times like you're talking about, but Gaza. Did would he have come into the conversation somewhere? Ah, the technical gremlins. We lost Paul for a second there. I think we have him
You
back.
just there we go, man.
He's back. Yeah, I was just saying. With Gaza, it got close.
Yeah, he was a little bit before my time of going, Gaza. So, as I said, I didn't really start going regularly until 92, 93 season. So, I saw Gaza in a couple of games, but
Yeah,
not on my memory. I don't recollect it. I remember goals on telly. Like, I remember in obviously the 91 FA Cup run, which he basically almost won that FA Cup single handedly. But I don't remember seeing him. I never really saw him live enough to be able to compare him, in all honesty.
yeah. Mm. There's so many names. I mean, I suppose after this I could easily sit down, get on the old Google, and there'd be so many. It'd be interesting actually to look at. Obviously, if you're speaking to like other Spurs fans and whatnot via forums and stuff like that, and pop the question out to them to see how the lineups would differ from obviously from yours. I know that obviously after I did my Chelsea one, I spoke to a fair few, and there was so many different. But there was like a core of players that always seemed to, particularly anyone that was like my kind of age, and obviously a bit younger. The Premier, well, the Abramovich era, a lot of the players, you know, were in there from that. But then there was like little ones and twos of people that like, and you think, oh, yeah, maybe I don't know. They didn't.
Everyone's
To
got their
be,
favourites, and like the
yeah,
player
to
who's or
interesting
you're
to
in the
see. Like
ground, or my
obviously,
favourite player in the kid.
I know you've got obviously the Spurs New Zealand forum and all that. So it'd be interesting to see what they make of your picks and whatnot as well. To see if they have theirs any different. Yeah. There we
I'll
go.
pull it out. See
There
what
it
they
is.
say.
That is your Spurs all time 11. Brilliant. So looking before we finish up on doing this episode on the. I thought we'd just have a little quick little catch up on that, just obviously because you've been creeping back up the league again.
Well, it was all going well and then I spoke to you and we did a preview of the Tottenham game, and then Tottenham completely
Yeah, it went off the
imploded.
rails.
Injury,
A bit of a bad luck. But
since
yeah,
then, we've
quite. And the thing is, it's almost unnoticed in a way, because like all of a sudden, I mean, they interviewed after the game the other day. They interviewed Andrew. He was like, "Oh yeah, you're only a few. Yeah, are you in a title race?" And he was very coy and little bit bitey with the. I think we're starting to see a little bit more of an angry Ange coming through, which ain't a bad thing, I
well,
suppose.
I mean, we're technically 6 points off the top. So
Yeah.
are we in the title race as we speak today? Yes, we are. Will we win the league? No. But
I think
if you're talking about being in the race, we are in the race. We can't afford to slip any back from 6 points. But
no, I mean, City have got a game in hand, which if they
we
win,
won't do it because like we're on a paper thin squad, and there's a chance one. Ben Davies as an example, did his hamstring in, so that's in done for probably 5 or 6 weeks now.
And I mean, talking of transfers, you have made an early move on the transfers, and in a former Chelsea forward coming in. Bit of a side. He's not one that you would have automatically thought. I mean, there was rumours of him going to Villa, which is Timo Werner. Apparently, he's over today for the medical, and for signing the contract and all that on the season-long loan. I think that's a shrewd move. I don't know what your thoughts are. I mean, I know obviously him being ex-Chelsea.
I haven't seen enough of him to have a proper opinion, but of course, when you hear his name, you think of him as a flop. You think of him as missing open goals and missing sitters and not performing very well. But if you look at him from a numbers perspective, his numbers, either goals or involvement in goals, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I think he's a good player.
Yeah, Tottenham's recruitment's changed a lot over the last, since this season. Where they're doing it all now based on numbers.
Yes,
so they just put numbers into a system and then see who comes out, and then that's kind of where they start to choose their options from. And his numbers are bad.
The thing is that no Chelsea fan can disagree with me on this, despite the finishing being a bit iffy every now and then. The guy never stopped trying. He is 110% in the shirt. He gives everything. The end product might not be what you want, but what you will get with him is full on commitment to the cause. He never stops running, and from a defensive aspect, that's obviously brilliant because pressing wise from the front, he'll give that. Obviously, he's not coming there as a starter, and initially when he went back to Leipzig after leaving us, he was flying. There was one goal where he flew off from the halfway line, beat 3-4 players and finished. And you feel, all right, this is the Timo Werner that we thought we'd signed. And then it's kind of gone off the rails again for him a little bit at Leipzig, whereas they've kind of lost a bit of patience with him, and he's lost a bit of confidence again. So I think this could be a really good move. I don't think he don't come with any pressure because of obviously his time at Chelsea. So the expectation level won't be there. And I think he'll surprise quite a few.
It'll be an interesting. Yeah, I reckon the plan, because he's I think we can purchase him for like £15 million or something like that. Apparently.
Yeah, and he's still quite young.
I think he's Richarlison's replacement. I think the idea is to try and sell Richarlison for like 40 million plus, or as near as what we pay for him as we can get him in for 15. And then we still need to buy another striker. We need to buy someone. Yeah. We need to replace Kane.
I think
having someone who can play across the line probably does the job.
He can. To be honest, I think he's more effective when he is coming from wide positions anyway, and he can play either of those. I think he's probably better drifting off from the left and then drifting in. So a very fluid front line of Kulusevski, Sonny, and Werner. I mean, that could really terrorise. I mean, obviously he offers far more movement than Richarlison would,
Nice.
and then when you, like you say, when you base it on the data and the numbers and goal involvement, particularly with assists and stuff like that, I think Werner would bring a little bit more to the table. So
Yeah,
I
man's
think
like
it's
them guys that
sensible.
play in more than one position.
Yeah,
So
sensible
yeah,
signing. And then
could be a
if
good move.
obviously if you can get maybe another like defensive cover loan in, someone maybe a bit of experience or something like that, or sign a. I don't
Yeah,
think
we need a centre. There's that centre off from Genoa that they're trying to
yeah.
purchase, and we're going to need him for the United
Is that
game
that's
because
that
with
the
Mendy,
Romanian fella?
that's the guy.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
think of
So
his
we're going to
name
need to get
offhand,
him
but yeah,
as soon as possible.
yeah,
Just so we've got a centre half plan. It'd be nice just to have a centre half plan, a centre half for once.
yeah. And obviously, financially wise, obviously, if you do take a big chunk of money off of Bayern Munich, I mean that money can then be reinvested back in to defensive line with
Yeah,
that more mobile Ange type player.
yeah. They're only talking about, I think, €5 million to die, but his contract's up at the end of the summer. So,
Yeah.
as I said, I'm a big fan of this, but it's best for all guys if he goes. And yeah, I wish him all the best.
Yeah. Right, so we're definitely going to need to have you back on towards the end of the transfer window, and
Let's do it.
to see. Obviously, we have to do it we'll do like a Chelsea, because no doubt we'll probably go out and spend another 300-400 million or something on a load of young players that are not ready to do what we need them to do. And obviously, I fully expect that we're going to be miles behind Spurs and every other club in the Premier League. I don't know if you caught any of the highlights from the FA Cup game, but a 4-0 4-0 victory on Preston was harsh on them, because for 58 minutes I was thinking, oh, what's going on here? So we definitely need to do. When's the I can't remember, when's the reverse fixture? Chelsea Spurs.
End of Feb.
Ooh,
So about
okay.
6,
Yeah.
7 weeks away.
So yeah, we'll have to do another preview one of that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you back to work tomorrow?
I am, unfortunately. Yeah,
Oh, obviously. So yeah, you're nearing your bedtime now, aren't you?
it is. Yeah, bedtime.
Brilliant. I hope you got. Obviously, it's very light there still. So I hope you got pretty good blackout blinds and whatnot. Oh,
Yeah, it's going to go down pretty sharply now.
yeah. Right. Well, there we go. So that's Paul's
Nice one.
all-time Spurs 11 on this episode. Don't forget to get in contact with the show, and via all the usual means. Obviously, there'll be the link to hit the link tree to get to everywhere you need. And the old-fashioned way of emailing. I call it the old-fashioned still, but yeah, get on your socials, get on the pod, and if you want to come on and give your all-time 11 for your club, no matter who you are or where you are in the world, then feel free to get in contact and do so, because it's always an interesting one, and to see who gets. I think more than anything, to see who gets left out, and yeah, so that's that. Season 4, episode 11. All Spurs all-time 11 in the bag. Cheers, Paul.
No worries, mate. Anytime.
There we go. And Paul will be back very, very soon. One, to preview, to have a look at what we did in the transfer market, both clubs, and then obviously to preview that game towards the end of February. It'd be interesting to see where we are. We'll probably be in the relegation zone, and Spurs will probably be about 5 or 6 points off the top, and Paul probably still doubting whether they'll do it. Nice one. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching and listening to us on the podcast. And like I said at the top, Happy New Year, and we shall catch you on the next episode.